Good morning, everybody. Hey, some of the most common questions I get asked have to do with the equipment I use to make my videos, all the way from the camera equipment and lighting up to the software I use to design my plans. So I thought it would be kind of fun to just show you everything I use to make my videos and how I'm able to crank those out on a daily basis over this past month. Hey, before I get started, I wanted to talk to you just for a minute about trying to stay in shape during all of this lockdown and how I think it's super important that we at least move around. And you know that I've been working with a personal trainer the past few years who has helped me become more fit and stronger than ever before in my life. This time of isolation is hard on all of us, and especially people whose jobs are dependent on working with people in person, such as a trainer. My trainer can't go to the gym and she can't work one-on-one with people. So I've been doing online sessions with her one-on-one using Zoom. But what she's also started doing are these online live group training sessions. They're an hour long. I do them 2 days a week, and I'm telling you, you get a fantastic workout. You will sweat. The classes are just $20, and take my word for it, Megan is an expert at training people. Just so you know, I'm not making any money off of this. I'm just trying to help her out, and I think it would be fun to work out with you. And if you'd like to do that, click, there's a link down in the description for a form you can fill out, and then Megan will get back to you with all of the details. Oh, and you don't need any special equipment. You can do this in your living room. Okay, now let's get on to the topic at hand. First of all, making these daily videos is way different than the type of video I've been making for the past 11 years, except for maybe some of my earliest videos were similar to this, where I didn't really have much of an idea in mind and I would just talk directly to the camera, kind of like I'm doing now. But as YouTube evolved and woodworking videos evolved, people started demanding just get to the point, show the project, and be done with it. And then you just run into the problem of just cranking out project after project just for the sake of getting that video out and pleasing the YouTube gods. So in a lot of ways, it's been kind of refreshing to make this style of video where I really don't have a full game plan going into the day. It's much more casual and I can just kind of talk to you guys. It's kind of similar to what I was doing with Mere Minutes, my second channel, where I was just talking to you once a week. I was unable to keep that schedule going and also produce those regular videos on my channel, so that's why I don't do those Mere Minutes videos anymore. But the downside to creating daily content is the decline in video views. You can see this almost anywhere where there's a series of videos. Even if you just make like a 3-part series of how to build a coffee table, that first one will get a lot of views and the second one less, and the third one is always the least amount of views. And so when you're doing this over a month or longer, any type of vlog style, what you'll see is that people are really interested in it at the beginning, they're curious, it's something new, and then the views slowly and steadily decline per video until you kind of flatten that curve. And now that's where I am now, where these videos are usually getting around 40 to 50,000 views. And so I'm happy with that, because to me, that's the core audience of people who are interested in this kind of content. So it's not for the people who are tuning in because they want to watch a project from start to finish in that one video. As far as making these videos, it just makes me work a lot faster. I don't really plan out how the story is going to be told in a given project or a video. I just kind of let it happen. And then the editing is much more minimal. I'm super fast at editing, and so without adding music or any type of overlays or anything, it could go really fast. I can edit one of these films or one of these videos in you know, an hour easy. Plus I edit as I'm shooting, so I'll shoot a little bit, grab that card out of my camera, run up, and then just start editing and then come back to it. I really like that way of editing. Okay, getting back to the equipment I use, it all starts with the camera, and I'll have to show it to you this way since I'm shooting with that camera. This is a Canon EOS T7i camera. I've had this for a few years now. I have 2 lenses for it. This is the 10 to 18 millimeter lens, so it zooms. This is wide angle right there. That's the 10 millimeter that I use almost all of the time. And then it zooms in a little bit closer for that. When I want to get more detailed shots, I use this one. This is a zoom lens. This is my 18 to 135 millimeter lens. Up here, this is the microphone I use. This is the Rode video mic, I think it's called. But I don't adjust any of the settings or anything. I just let it do its job and it just plugs into the camera. But the reason why I like using this camera is because it has this fold out screen here, so I can see myself and what I'm shooting. So when I, like from here, I use that wide angle lens, I can grab the lens easily from where I'm standing, and then I can set this little thing here, and then I can set the focus it, and then what I do is just lock that in. So that means I'm going to be in focus and it's not going to do that in and out type of focus. So that's normally the way I shoot. This is a Benro tripod that my friend Jared over at Frono's Photo recommended for me, and I just love it. The main thing I love is that it has these quick release snaps there, so I can easily adjust the height of it super quick. Plus this one goes up pretty high, which I like to have it high since I'm relatively tall. And it's got this quick release slider thing here that just the camera slides right out of. I really like this tripod. It's super lightweight and durable and easy to move around. Almost all the lighting I use in my shop is just from these overhead lights. I've got just a whole bunch of these LED fixtures. Sometimes I need a little extra light in my face, and so that's why I have this light here. And it has a couple adjustments here where you can adjust the color temperature on the back. I actually had two of these, but I only use one, and that's really only occasionally I use that. Usually just these overhead lights are fine. I'll let you be the judge. Here is what that looks like with that light shining on my face. So let me just turn it off here. And here it is without. And so what I would do in this situation is just brighten up the image a little bit. And yeah, I know none of this is perfect for like really high quality video production, but for showing me working on something and building in something where that is the most important thing, I think it works fine. For those of you photography people who are interested in the settings I use on my camera, I almost always shoot at an ISO of 800. Sometimes if I'm in the house, like when I was shooting the closet videos, I would go as high as 3200. Back when I was shooting film, that would have almost been unheard of. That would have been such a grainy image. But today, when you're watching a YouTube video, I don't see that much difference between an ISO 3200 and 400 or 100 really. And then I have my frame rate or shutter speed, I guess, set to 30, and like right here I'm shooting at an f10, usually like around f11 or 10, depends upon how sunny it is outside. The biggest thing for me is to focus on the content that I'm producing and not really get too caught up in all of the technical details. As long as there's an image there that people can see clearly what I'm doing, that's usually enough. I wanted to show you this. This is one of the most important parts of my production, and that's a teleprompter. I used to never use a teleprompter, and I gotta tell you, once I got this, it changed everything. Suddenly, I was able to shoot my videos in a fraction of the time it took me to shoot without a teleprompter. Without the teleprompter, I spend a lot of time stumbling over my words, repeating myself, and a lot of times just giving out information that's just wrong, and people will call you out on that stuff. So I like to make sure that as much as I can, try to fact check everything that I'm presenting and make sure that I've got it all right. And that involves doing the research and spending the time to actually write a coherent script. I used to be so opposed to doing that until I got the teleprompter. But you can see it even as I'm talking to you right now without a script, that my conversation will be redundant in some parts, and I'll use a lot of ums and I'm not sure what I'm gonna say. All of that stuff can be eliminated with a teleprompter. Here's what that looks like with my camera in the teleprompter and on my tripod. And you can see by looking at the image here that, well, you can see it by cutting to this view, that the corners are vignetted. And that's because this doesn't work very well with my wide angle lens. So I have to, let me look at this. So whenever I use this, I have to zoom in to that point there. So then when I stand over here, it'll look about like that. I'm not that thrilled with this particular teleprompter, and that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that this shroud here keeps falling down in front of the lens, so I have to hook it up here with clothespin. And the microphone is sort of blocked from the top here, but it doesn't seem to affect the sound all that much. I'd like to get a better teleprompter. So here's what that looks like when I'm using it. This is just my phone in there, and then I've got my script on there. It reverses it. So this 45-degree glass lets me read that script while looking directly into the lens of the camera. So like this is a script from my Table Saw 101 video. So I just touch it and then that will roll like that. And then when I want to pause, I just tap my camera again and it pauses and I can move it around like that. It's pretty, I guess for technology, it's sort of pretty low tech, but it works out pretty good. And when I'm ready to edit, I just take that card out right here and take it up to my office. So I use Vegas Movie Studio. It's called Platinum 13. So this is an older version, but I've really had no reason to update it. This is the video that I've been editing so far as we've been speaking. So I can come back and take that video file that I just used there and drag it onto my timeline. Boom. Usually this would be the file or files that I just shot on my camera, but in this case, since I had to use my phone like I'm doing now to shoot these, I've got to grab those images from my cloud storage. This is on, Google Photos. I'll just download that. Here I'm just pre-rendering those videos that I shot on my phone. I find that if I try to use that file format with the files that I shoot on my camera, they just don't work very well and they get really clunky. So if I pre-render those, then they can play nicely with the rest of these files. So while that's rendering, I thought I'd show you really quickly a little of my design process, and it starts with SketchUp. So like here's an example of the printer stand I made. And so I designed all of my projects in SketchUp. This is the full complete project here. And then what I do is to make the step-by-step plans, I actually just make individual copies of that. And then each one of these I save, as a two-dimensional image that I bring into InDesign. So then they would drop in here. And as far as these cut lists, I do those in Adobe Illustrator. So I just lay them out, the boards, and then just measure them all at full size. Then once I've got all of the cut lists and all of the step-by-steps put together, I export all of this as a PDF. Normally I would also include a cover image, and I do all of those in Photoshop. I didn't make one for that printer stand, so here's the one I made for yesterday's video, which was that puzzle. So this is also the thumbnail image I would use on the video, and then I always make a second square version for Instagram. And that's pretty much all of the equipment and software I use to make my videos. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I don't see any reason to overcomplicate it with needless gimmicks. The one thing I don't like to cut corners on is my computer. That's a really strong workstation, and I wanted that so that I wouldn't have to sit around waiting for files to render. And plus, while files are rendering, I can work on everything else. Photoshop, Illustrator, I can do all of that stuff all at once, and I have no problems with that just cruising by. One question I've been getting a lot lately is if I could do a SketchUp tutorial, and I have a SketchUp tutorial as part of my Powered Up course, but I thought it would be fun to just do one for YouTube also. So look for that coming real soon. Hopefully this week I can get to shooting a real basic kind of overview of SketchUp to get you started. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.